of FDA approval. Surely these drug companies aren't going to spend $20 million or more testing any substance from nature because it can't be patented. That, and of course the FDA says it's illegal to use unless it's been tested for efficacy and safety. Now you see the catch-22 you're in there. Nothing from nature, regardless of how effective it might be, will ever be proven safe or effective according to the FDA. It'll never be. Because nobody's going to spend the money to go through the test. So therefore, everything from nature will always be condemned by the FDA as unproven. An unproven cancer cure.
As soon as the news on his treatment started to circulate, Dr. Simoncini became the target of a major smear campaign, orchestrated through the Italian media, in which he was treated as a charlatan and a swindler.
Amici di Striscia, oggi vi parleremo di un personaggio che dice di curare I tumori con il bicarbonato. Seguiteci. Buonasera, Jimmy Ghione, Striscia la notizia. Come va?
Niente, lascia.
Senta, ma com'è questa storia del bicarbonato? Ci può raccontare com'è che si curano I tumori con il bicarbonato? E ci può raccontare un po' com'è questa storia? Se basta il bicarbonato per curare I tumori.
Aspetti che bevi scendo.
No, aspetti,
che
ma perché fa così?
As if the ridicule wasn't enough, Dr. Simoncini was also repeatedly sued for wrongful death and in one case sentenced to 3 years in prison for having allegedly caused the death of patients that had undergone his treatment. Even before any appeal was filed, the media seized greedily on the trials, delivering the final blow to Dr. Simoncini's public credibility.
Di Roma, uno dei più importanti oncologi italiani. No, perché quando parliamo di medicina e anche di cure innovative bisogna stare attenti. Dice quest'uomo, sto Simoncini, è un fungo, il tumore è un fungo e si cura col bicarbonato di sodio. L'impressione immediata di un grande medico.
Beh, una tesi bizzarra, voler essere ottimisti, e direi che è pazzesco, non c'è nessuna dimostrazione che ci siano rapporti tra infezioni fungine e neoplasie, né tantomeno che i funghi siano l'unica causa di cancro, come sostenuto dal dottor Simoncini.
Possiamo dire con assoluta certezza che il bicarbonato di sodio al tumore purtroppo non gli fa nulla, se no sarebbe stato molto semplice.
Assolutamente nulla, ma può essere, devo dire, anche pericoloso, perché se somministrato a dosi importanti può determinare squilibri metabolici importantissimi che possono compromettere la funzione renale, la funzione respiratoria, la funzione cardiaca, cerebrale, e quindi è un farmaco che, se somministrato a dosi importanti, può determinare anche la morte.
In spite of all these difficulties, Tullio Simoncini has never given up his fight against cancer, trying to spread his beliefs through conferences and through the internet. In the meantime, Dr. Simoncini has been perfecting all sorts of techniques to get as close as possible to each different tumor in order to always deliver the sodium bicarbonate with maximum potency.
Breast and bladder cancer with the sodium bicarbonate can heal in 99% without surgery, without chemotherapy, without radiotherapy, and let the organs there. Softly, softly you can remove the cancer just with local infiltration or ureter catheterization.
This is amazing. You're saying a urethral catheter can deliver sodium bicarb to the bladder.
Yeah.
Lorna is an Australian patient who recounts to have defeated bladder cancer by herself with the simple use of a self-operated urethral catheter.
In February 2007, I was diagnosed with cancer in the bladder. They were transitional cell carcinoma cells, and I was at stage 3 aggressive form of cancer. Over the year, I went for 3 monthly cystoscopy checks to keep it under control, but in June 2008, I was diagnosed with carcinoma in situ, and the urologist told me I had to have immunotherapy. I decided against having conventional treatment, and I decided to try out Simoncini's sodium bicarbonate solution. I had found Simoncini on the internet, and I did 2 3-week treatments of sodium bicarbonate under the instructions of Simoncini, who emailed me and guided me through the whole treatment. On the 28th of November, I went back to the urologist to have a check cystoscopy, and my bladder was clear of any cancer.
So I've just realized have you ever met Simoncini in person?
No, I've never met him.
How did you do all this?
In person, I've never met him.
How did you do all this?
What?
I mean, how did
What
you
do
get
you- what do
all
you mean?
the
How did I do
instructions? How
what?
did you know how to do things?
I emailed him via his website, and he gave me the information over email.
So you never met him in person?
Never.
Did you ever pay him anything?
No, not 1 cent.
He hasn't asked you for money at all?
No, not at all.
Are you saying with breast cancer, a little incision, squirt?
6 days, everybody heals. 6 days. The breast is spared.
Diagnosed with breast cancer in summer 2001, Marion received immediate surgery, followed by regular radio and chemotherapy cycles. After a relapse in 2006, she chose not to operate again and tried Dr. Simoncini's therapy instead.
We could fly to Rome to Dr. Simoncini, and he treated me with injections directly in my breast. Yes, we went back to Holland, and we found a doctor there who was willing to make again a mammography and an echography. And at first, the radiologic, our doctor asked me, when she saw the mammography, well, she didn't say so quite clear, but more or less she asked me what I was doing there, because she couldn't see a thing.
Relatively simple is also the cure of uterus cancer, even in cases where the total removal of the organ is recommended. In October 2007, Sylvia was diagnosed with cervical dysplasia. After the conization revealed an invasive tumor, Sylvia was told the uterus needed to be removed promptly, before cancer cells could spread elsewhere in the body. After stressful research and against everyone's advice, she chose not to operate and to try Dr. Simoncini's therapy instead.
Hai fatto tutto da sola, cioè?
Infatti, ho fatto tutto da sola. Ho acquistato immediatamente del bicarbonato e la sera stessa ho cominciato a fare questi lavaggi della durata di un'ora, un quarto d'ora per posizione, che erano il corpo sul fianco, poi il prona, poi il fianco, poi supino, in modo tale da prendere tutto il tessuto, visto che non avevamo una campo localizzato, ma una cosa molto invasiva. E dopo neanche 2 mesi, diciamo 7 settimane, ho fatto un controllo il quale si è avverato completamente negativo, privo, un controllo con una microcolposcopia che non ha rilevato nessuna anomalia cellulare.
Allora, io mi chiamo Carmelo Lombardo.
Di mestiere?
Sono nato, mestiere faccio il medico.
A few months after a colonectomy due to a malignant tumor, Dr. Carmelo Lombardo found out he had developed some liver metastasis. Just before the liver operation, he found out the tumor had already spread to each of his lungs. After the liver surgery, he found out about Dr. Simoncini's therapy, and chose to use the portacat that had been prepared for the chemotherapy, to introduce the sodium bicarbonate solution instead.
Ah, quindi lei aveva il port per la chemio e invece l'ha usato per infilare il bicarbonato?
Il bicarbonato, sì.
Il port dove ce l'aveva esattamente? Il port dove ce l'aveva?
Il port ce l'ho all'altezza della seconda costola. Nella seconda costola precisamente hanno incanovato la carotide interna e raggiunge la cava superiore.
After 3 cycles with sodium bicarbonate, a TAC test revealed no trace of the tumors in either one of the lungs.
Un esame fatto con mezzo di contrasto e senza contrasto non si apprezzano lesioni né di tipo primitivo né di tipo secondario.